Hello again. I just want to talk about accreditation. So accreditation for a therapist, it's a strange one because there's some people out there that don't feel you need accreditation, which is fine, and there's other people that actually swear by it. Um, I would be in the latter camp. I trained when I was training. I trained through IHIP standards, and I really wanted to be accredited initially with IHIP. That wasn't really possible for me because there was so many hurdles. As you understand, if you looked at accreditation, there's so much you have to do. There's so many hours, and it's really good to make sure you're practicing ethically and you're doing the right things, and you're getting your proper amount of supervision, and you don't then get accredited and stop. It keeps you going, and you just make sure you're still doing the right thing, because it's so helpful and it's really important. And I can understand the difference because if you don't want to be accredited, you don't have to be accredited. So you can go out there and you can be a therapist. You don't need accreditation to say you're a therapist. Because when I wasn't accredited, I was still a therapist. And then when I became accredited, then just some things changed, and it was for my peace of mind and my security. So when I started off, as I said, I wanted to be IHIP accredited. Then I started to look at IACP. IACP was on the horizon when we were training, but it wouldn't have been my goal. I wanted IHIP because I trained IHIP, but then I kind of saw IACP and I liked them, and they're a bigger organisation, there's more protections, there's a lot of stuff in there. I know there's a lot of other bodies, but I'm just going to talk about three. And when I looked more into IACP and I started looking into maybe I'd consider getting accredited with IACP, it felt for me much easier to get accredited through IACP, and that was just my experience. And when I was communicating with IACP, they were lovely. They were really. I was talking to a person on the other end, and when I was communicating with IHIP, I found I was talking with someone who was just kept referring me back to bylaws the whole time, which was really offensive and very dismissive, in my opinion. And that was probably that person. I don't know if they're still there, and I don't know if the thing still continues that way today. And if it does, it needs to change. But when I went to ACP, I then said no, I want to go ACP. Um, I came across an issue with myself and my supervisor at the time. I realised I had too many clients and not enough supervision, and I'd mentioned this, and my supervisor had said early on, "Look, don't worry about it. We'll sort something out." And as the time progressed, I'd said it again and again, and the supervisor said, "Don't worry, we'll sort it out." And when it came to my accreditation, I hadn't enough supervision, interestingly, to go for accreditation, so it delayed me somewhat. But ultimately, it wasn't my fault. My supervisor said that they'd made a mistake. It was an oversight because as I said in an earlier video, we meet up as often as we can, usually around every month, at the end of every month, or every second month. The group that we trained with, just to catch up and support each other and stuff like this. And my supervisor misunderstood this, thinking this was also supervision, which it wasn't. It was just peer support. So that knocked me back, and when I went for my accreditation the first time with IACP, they noticed this. They said there's a deficit, there's a difference between how many client hours you have here and how many supervision, and then I'd caught up by the time I went for accreditation, but they weren't matching on the years. But they were lovely because when I'd explained this to them, they completely understood, and they put me on I can't remember what it was, like a hold or something, I can't remember what they called it, for 3 months, but they backdated it from my application, which was 2 months. So I really only had to wait an extra month, and then it was so good. Everything was processed very quickly. I got my accreditation. Then when I was accredited with IACP, I was still thinking I really would like to be there for people who want an IHIP therapist. So I then looked into IHIP. I completed my IHIP accreditation, got that too. And then when I was in IHIP, there's an option if you want to go for ICP accreditation. And I looked at ICP and I liked it, and I said, yeah, I want to do this. So I got accredited with 3 bodies. And what that meant was really helpful, actually. First of all, I am inundated with the amount of CPD I need. I'm finished. I finished my year's CPD in March this year. I was finished. I had everything done I needed, all my hours, all my CPD hours I needed for the year. I had finished in March. That's how much CPD I have now because of the accreditation. It didn't cost me a penny to do it, and I'm fully up to standards with CPD. I now am doing it at my leisure. I can pop in on a course and I can do stuff like that because I want to, not because I have to. So the pressure was off me very early in the year, and now I can do everything at my leisure. Also, when I was training, when I was sorry, when I wasn't training, when I was qualified, I couldn't take on private insurance clients. They would come to me and they would want to work with me, but because I wasn't accredited, they couldn't get the money back through the private insurance. Also, other people couldn't claim back on their tax, which you can claim back on your tax for therapy as well. So when I got my accreditation, that problem is gone. Now I get people in their private insurance. Then all I need to do is send them a receipt. So I just have a standard receipt. I make sure it's for every client's different, and I put in the dates, etc. It's just my little format. And then every time I have a session with that client, I'd send them on the receipts, and then they can claim back through the private medical insurance or through tax. But it's actually really, really helpful, and I couldn't have done that if I hadn't got accredited. But you can continue as a therapist not accredited, but my advice would be just get accredited, because I feel there's so much comfort and security and kind of like a togetherness and support as well. People are there for you in these bodies. They're not there to get you. And I have trained them, which I found they're very, very helpful. They give me a lot of good advice. Brilliant trainings. Like, there's something recently come up, because the laws seems to be changing around client notes in court cases, etc., for specific, as we know, specific cases. And they put up a training recently and invited me to it. I didn't have to go searching it. They invited me to it. I went and done this training, and I'm so happy that I did that, because now I was able to go back and moderate certain parts of my notes, and really, really helpful, because I'm saying there's always someone. It feels like there's always someone watching your back. It can be expensive, definitely. So I wouldn't recommend doing what I do, but that's just my thing. I wanted to be accredited with ICP. I wanted to be accredited with IHIP, and I do want to be accredited with ICP, and I'm going to continue that. But you don't have to have the three, but I would recommend getting accredited if that's what you want to do, because it is very helpful. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.